Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from remodeling contractor Danny Lipford and the home improvement pros from Today's Homeowner magazine.
Well, welcome to the show this week, and welcome to my backyard. You know, if you're like me and most homeowners, you probably spend a lot of time outside, so your home really doesn't stop at the back door. Now, over the last few years, I've really had a dilemma around my house in that my wife and my 3 little girls have really been pressuring me to install a swimming pool. Well, I really don't have enough yard for a swimming pool, and it can really get expensive. So what I've offered as a compromise is to install a nice spa and to extend my roof overhang to cover the spa and create our own little vacation spot here in our backyard. So this week we'll look at a number of things you need to consider in selecting a spa and a few tips on extending your overhang to cover your spa or any part of your patio. Now hopefully by the end of this show you'll know a lot more about spas and I'll be out of the doghouse. So stay with us. Well, welcome back to the show. I'm just getting an idea here on the amount of space I have available. That's 13 feet. I measured earlier from the wall out to this line was 8 feet, and that'll still give me plenty of room for that gate to open freely. So with that size, I think probably a 7-foot by 8-foot spa would be ideal as far as size. Now this seems like a perfect place for a spa because we have a concrete slab that's relatively level. I've got electricity right here, and I've got water right here. But I'm really not sure how much water or how much electricity I need for a spa, or really what kind of style of spa that I really want. That's why we're headed to the showroom. You know, it's really neat visiting a spa showroom because you can see a lot of the models that are available already set up with water in them so that you can get a good idea of what they'll look like when they're in your yard. But more importantly, you're able to find someone in the showroom that can answer all your questions. That person in this showroom is Freddie Biggs. Now, Freddie, I'm sure when people come into your showroom, they want to get the biggest tub they can possibly put in the space they have available.
That's true. They always look at something that realistically is too big for their family in most cases. And this is our 8-person. Now, if you have that many in your family, it sits out very well.
Okay, of course, I only have an available space of 7 foot by 7 foot. This looks more like 8 by 9. Looks like one of these smaller ones may suit me a little bit better.
Well, this one is really the size that you need. It's about in that same space restrictions, but it has 4 to 6 people that can use the spa. It has a barrier-free seating with their lounger, and it would fit very well for your family.
Now, most of the time spas are white over the years past, but starting to get a little color in them.
Yes, in the last 3 or 4 years, we've added blue and jade to our normal white shells. It's a consumer thing that people are looking for color, and it has been that way for the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Well, this one certainly has what appears to be a lot of bells and whistles with a light down there, a control panel there, and even a more advanced control panel here. So kind of take us through that.
Okay. Well, this is all fiber optic, and you set it and basically forget it. From a standpoint of cutting everything on, you just one-touch system. Your jets actually can run by touching it from the front, or you can actually enter into the spa and then start your jets up on your auxiliary control panel, which allows for some safety concerns.
Yeah, I can understand that because if the water is being agitated by the jets and you try to step in there, you could easily twist an ankle.
Exactly, and this really eliminates that problem.
Okay. I guess another big concern is what weight you have here when you have a spa, and if the space you're putting it in will support it. Now I have a concrete slab situation, so I'm not concerned,
right.
But what about a wood deck situation?
Well, wood decks are a little tricky sometimes. They need to make sure they'll hold up exactly the amount of weight with people and water in the spa. We do a site visit to check all of that out. We check the electrical out. You can also set them off decks. You can set them off concrete slabs, and that really helps out a homeowner that doesn't have a very large space.
Okay, now when this gets to my house, I'm going to be in charge of keeping the water nice and clean. What am I going to be faced with?
Very little. This is an excellent spa for self-cleaning. You can clean it with either bromine, chlorine, or our freshwater system, and it takes about 15 minutes a week.
Okay, show me more about your freshwater system.
Okay, it's over here.
All right, great.
Danny, this is our fresh water system, and this is our pre-fill that hooks right to your water hose. And as you're filling the spa, it actually filters out any contaminants that may be in the water supply.
I see.
So that's our first start. Then we go into our high output ozone system combined with the silver ionization system that actually kills the bacteria. And we end it with a non-chlorinated shock that actually activates the entire system. You're looking at, without the downsides of chemical, about the same amount of money per year, about $100 a year to maintain a freshwater system.
Okay, well the cost certainly isn't bad, and really there's not a lot of monthly maintenance you really have to do with the system.
That's exactly right.
Great, okay. Now I have to decide on exactly which model of spa I want at my house. Help me out here.
Come on, let's get you in the hot water.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
Now, no matter what type of guttering you have on your home, they all need maintenance.
First thing you have to do is clear out the gutters of any leaves or debris. In this case, we have a bunch of pine needles that have fallen. The next step is to check the supports that hold the gutter to the side of the house. In this case, they're using a spike and ferrule. And the spike passes through this metal sleeve and is nailed into the fascia of the roof, and that's what holds up the gutter. But in a lot of cases, the gutter will sag and it'll pull the spike free, or it'll bend down the gutter. Now, one trick is to just drive the spike back in, then bend it up using a pry bar and a length of chain.
Now, you need to be careful anytime you're working on your gutters because you're having to work off of a ladder, and a ladder can be dangerous. So make sure your ladder's set up real well and use a good ladder.
Slip the pry bar underneath the shingle and hook it onto the spike and just pull up, and that'll bend the spike and support the gutter so it's nice and straight. Now, a method that I prefer over that one even is to just pull this out and replace the spike with a landscaping screw. Pass the screw through the same hole and through the ferrule and into the hole in the back of the gutter, and then drive it in with a drill driver. Be careful not to overdrive it or you'll bend in the gutter.
Now, since this is a black screw and you have white guttering, you may need to take a little bit of white paint to touch it up. It'll blend right in. Well, I've made the selection on the tub that I'll be buying, and it's just the perfect size that I need, 7 feet by 8 feet. And I've used some of the blue painter's tape to outline how much room the tub will actually take up. This will guide a lot of my decisions on how large to make the roof covering. Now, I did find out some interesting things there at the Spa Showroom, and one good thing I found out is that the power supply I have right next to the tub here is sufficient to run the spa. It's 115 volts, 20 amp dedicated circuit, so I'm in good shape there. Now, I need some room to plug the actual spa in, so I'm leaving the spa away from the wall about 7 inches to allow for that plug in, and also that'll allow me room to build a little wall here, cover it with wood, and put a little ledge on top, which will probably end up being a nice little plant ledge. Another thing I found out about is how important having a cover over the tub is, an insulated cover that comes with the tub, because it keeps the temperature more constant and allows you to keep it a lot cleaner. But I needed some space back on this side to fold the cover over and tuck it back in, so I'm leaving about 28 inches there. That should really work out well. Now, the next step is to start the construction of the roof cover. And I have a couple of my guys from my construction crew that have come over to help me out on that part of it. And our first step is to set up and start tearing out what's existing. Now that we have all of this area opened up, we can get an idea of how we're going to extend the roof overhang. Now, on my house, I have 2x8 rafters, but we're not using 2x8s, we're actually using 2x4s. Let me tell you why. Now, you can see the wing cut that originally carpenters put on this rafter, and the reason for that is to reduce this size of the end of the rafter so that a 1x6 fascia could be used. Well, since we're extending this roof out and we're using 1x6 all the way around, if I used the 2x8s, because of this being a vaulted ceiling, I would end up with such a area that I would have to use a 1x10 fascia board. Certainly wouldn't look good, and in order to keep it looking original, I want to stay with the 1x6 size fascia. So that's why we're going back, we're actually taking our 2x4 gauge block like this, marking all of our rafters. Then we'll come back and cut this lower part out so that the 2x can lay right up against it. We can nail it off, extend it on out. That way, when we use our 1x4 beaded board ceiling in order to match the adjacent ceiling, then it will come right on down. We can cut the end of it off, and our 1x6 fascia will wrap right around. So it'll look great, but the problem is we've got a lot of cutting to do on the ends of these rafters. Well, we've really had a great day on this project. We've completed all of our demolition work. We've got our roof structure completely built with the decking, felt, all it needs is shingles, and we got a great start on all of our beaded board ceiling. Now, after all of the beaded boards complete, we can prime and paint, and we'll be ready for our brick masons to come out and build our 2 columns that'll support the roof covering. While we're taking care of some of these details, take a look at our best new product of the week.
It's time to check out this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
I'll tell you, Danny, I got one of these at home and I swear by it.
Now, the cordless circular saw have been around for a long, long time, but in the past I haven't had much use for them as a contractor because they always seemed so underpowered and the blades were so small that about the only thing they were good for in my book was cutting paneling.
Well, Danny, I've agreed with you in the past, but this category is changing a lot. Now, this one from Porter Cable is the best new product for us. It's 19.2 volt, which means you're above that 18 volt category, and they've tested this. It'll cross-cut over 100 2x4s. More meaningful even than that is it'll get into that 20-year-old 2x4 that's at the back of your garage and really cut through it. That stuff's hard and it works.
Well, when you think of more power, you think of more weight, but this thing is so well balanced and it's got the nice grips on it. And what are some of the other features of this?
Well, Danny, it's got the usual setup of almost any circular saw. I really like the shoe. It's solid, it's well built, it's not going to bend on you. It's got a spindle lock so you can change the blade easily. And the battery's a little different. You mentioned the weight, and one of the reasons is it's because this battery slips out like this, and that puts the weight right back down into the center of the saw. So you have pretty good balance.
Yeah, that's nice. That is really nice. Now, as far as cost on this, I assume all of this comes with it.
It does. It's a 1-hour battery charger. It has 2 batteries and the case that go with it. Whole package is $299. Now, that's pretty expensive. It's a professional duty saw, though, and if it's something you're looking for, a cordless saw that gives you that convenience, something you can work around the house with, this is one we picked.
Welcome back to the show. Now, over the last few days, I've had a lot of help from 2 of my guys from my crew that have helped me complete the roof covering that'll provide the cover for my new spa that'll arrive a little bit later today. We've completed the framing and the installation of the wood ceiling, and most of the painting's complete other than a little bit of touch-up Brad's handling right now. Of course, all the finishing touches are a lot easier now than it will be when we have a large tub right in the middle of everything, so we're finishing up a few of those now. I'm creating a cap or ledge for my half wall to give it a more finished look. To do this, I'm cutting a piece of 5/4 decking slightly wider than the top of the wall and nailing it in place. I'm also sanding the surface of the wall to smooth out some of the pressure-treated wood. Next, I began installing the electrical fixtures after making sure that all power is turned off. All of these fixtures, the lights, the ceiling fan, and the speakers are all designed for use in outdoor areas. Well, we've completed all of our finishing touches just in time. Just a little cleanup and we're ready for the spa, which is good because they're delivering it out front. The spa is moved across the yard on a heavy-duty dolly and then tipped onto 2 pieces of PVC pipe to be pulled through the gate and into the backyard. Now, this is no easy task as the unit weighs almost 700 pounds. Now, we lower the tub into a rough position and then begin removing all of the packaging that protects the tub. Now, our dealer, Freddie Biggs, checks the jets and other components to make sure that everything is in place. Now before final positioning, the installer connects our freshwater ozone system, which fits inside the mechanical compartment of the spa. He also connects the tub light and ensures that the drains are all closed. Then the insulated tub cover goes on so that we can attach the cover cradle. Now this is an accessory that allows the cover to be removed and put back on the spa with just one hand. Now we can do our final positioning of the spa, being very careful to leave room for the cover cradle to tuck in behind the unit. The patio the tub is sitting on has about a 1-inch slope, so we use a 1-inch thick piece of treated wood to level the unit. Once it's level, it's time to start filling the tub. Well, Freddie, it looks like all the hard work's done now with the tub in place, and looks like the water about at the right level.
It's at the right level, and let me tell you 4 things you need to do to keep this spa crystal clean.
Okay.
You'll notice it has a bottom main drain, so it makes it real easy whenever it's time to drain it and fill it every 4 months.
Okay.
On a weekly basis, you would simply take your filter out, which is the lifeblood of your spa, and really sort of hose it off, clean it, and there's no up or down or front or back, so you simply remount it, put it back in, and you're off and running with your spa and real filter clean.
Now, the 3 filters I'm looking at, they all look exactly the same.
They are. They're identically the same. So
Okay.
you interchange them and rotate them as you clean your filters.
Okay, all right, that's easy, and no up or down or anything.
No up or down.
Makes it real easy.
Also, since this spa is 95% chemical free, since you have the ozone system, the cleanup cycle on the spa is very important, and you'll run this every time you get out of the spa, and you have a basic self-cleaning spa, and that's really all it takes.
Okay, all right, and I know it's important to keep the cover on it. Why is that?
Well, for keeping it clean and sanitized, but also keeping the heat trapped in, so you keep your heat at the right level that you want, especially during the winter months.
Great, great. So all we need to do is let it warm up a little bit, I understand.
A little bit.
Okay. Well, Freddie, I can really see the big advantage of working with a dealer like yourself that not only provides the selling of the tub, but also the setup and backing it up with service. I really appreciate that. And stay with us. When we come back, we'll try this tub out.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Barbara Katz. Brought to you by Scott's Lawn Products, for a great lawn, guaranteed.
I've collected here a whole series of plants which I think are really interesting in the fall garden. They give you a lot of color and they stick around for a long time.
I'm amazed, really, you have this much of an assortment to choose from during the fall of the year. I mean, it really does add a lot to your garden.
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, we've got the snapdragon here, we've got a pink and a yellow. These will flower through the fall and again into the springtime. These are 2 different types of chrysanthemums. Those are pretty readily available everywhere, but this is the Nippon daisy, and this will come back very reliably every year, flower right straight through to the first frost.
I know what that is. That's a pansy.
That's the pansy. The beauty of the pansies, which are also really, really popular these days, is that they flower right straight through the winter. The dianthus, that's a wonderful color, and again, it's going to be back in the springtime, and I just love the way it looks.
And you even have some food in here. I believe that's cabbage or kale.
Yeah, I thought you'd sort of take an interest in that particularly. This is ornamental kale. And we also have ornamental cabbage. They're pretty interesting in the winter landscape, except for when you have a frost, then they really just start to stink and you want to make sure you rip them out. Over here we've got 2 fall asters. They are also perennial. They'll be back every year, but they're available now and you can pop them in.
More food. I see some brightly colored peppers over there.
Yeah, I just love this plant. This is actually called the ornamental pepper. And this kind of color and interest in the fall garden is really worth a lot. I just love the way it looks.
Well, this is great. Plenty of color and a little bit of food in your garden. Now, since the spa was set up yesterday, I've had an opportunity to do a little landscaping around the patio, including a citrus tree here and one on the other side. And I built a lattice screen so that I would have a place for the vines to grow up and create a nice little privacy wall between my house and the neighbors. Now, it appears that the spa is going to be very easy to maintain, much easier than the swimming pool I was considering installing. But I accomplished just what I wanted in creating this nice little vacation spot right here in my backyard for my family. And I think my 3 little girls agree that it turned out just right. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week here on today's Homeowner. Is it warm enough for you? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Warm enough?